Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Futureproofing Your Career series. My name is Yolanda Yu. I'm a career and leadership coach. Today, I have Niharika with me. She is a billion-dollar biller at Robert Walters, one of the top recruitment companies. And she is also hiring HR lead for UK-based FinTech in Asia Pacific. She also won the prestigious Everest Award for her work. So in her unparalleled experience advising tech has done startup leaders, building teams and effective people processes and organizational cultures where talent thrives and takes pride in belonging. She really developed very unique combination of expertise by being HR recruiter in the past and HR advisor and being in the scene, very active scene of fintech industries. So thank you very much for being here with us, Niharika.
Hey, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so our time goes back to 2010. So that's been 14 years ago. Yeah. So I know that, you have gone through a really fantastic journey from being the star recruiter to going through quite a lot of different pivots yourself, right? And I just want to really pick your brain today. How have you witnessed the different cycles of technology evolution? Mainly because we are at the junction, of another one that is coming. And experts say that, this AI sort of new AI revolution is nothing like what we have seen. And so I think it's important for us to take a look at the past and also look at the future and sort of, together imagine how we as job seekers in general, right? And first and foremost, we all have a career to worry about. And also people who are under the influence of people, thought leaders like you, how they can be more resilient with their career and how they can chart the course better.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's been such an interesting journey. And I think when I joined the workforce here in Singapore, it was a very interesting time period. I came to Singapore in 2007 and just before the global financial crisis. So that was probably like one of my first milestones to experience in from a crisis point of view. It was massive. I was a banking tech recruiter at that time, and what I was doing was deeply impacted. It wasn't so much connected to tech, but it was really a financial crisis. However, as a company, we evolved very quickly. We figured out what needed to be done to survive, and I think at that time, well, back in 2009 and 10, when it was happening, Qantas was one of the few search firms that had to fold or even to lay off very few people because we had very robust staffing business, which I was part of. But moving on very quickly from a tech evolution point of view, things started to change for us as recruiters. I remember when LinkedIn as a platform was launched, we were doing a lot of stuff online at that time in the recruitment industry. And when LinkedIn was launched, everybody started to say that, hey, recruitment industry is over, LinkedIn is going to take over our lives. But that really didn't happen, right? I mean, it has now become one of the strongest tools that we use as recruiters. And it wasn't a threat, but initially perceived as a threat. And the recruiters who started to use it very quickly as a tool rather than, shunning it or took years to sort of start using it. There was a typical difference between, their search strategy and their ability to reach the right candidates. So that was one big milestone for me and personally in my sort of job. But there were other milestones, like I remember when we had smartphones in our hands, life completely changed. The apps came in, the lifestyle completely changed from seeking web to technology in our hands, and skills like and development, iPhone development started to come in. The fourth milestone I would say was the boom of people in e-commerce and startups in Singapore and in the region globally. Right, there was lots of stuff that was happening online, and then there was another lifestyle change for us. advent of cloud that kind of gave way to B2B startups. Development of applications became very, very simple and easy. A lot of startups started to come in and started creating their own products on the cloud, thanks to the AWSs and Microsofts of the world, and Google, of course, where access to creating cool products became very, very easy. And then I would say, like, the blockchain and crypto was another sort of revolution that came by. And, that was again more financial, but kind of shook the industry. There was an ICO bubble and then bust, and then this technology is still surviving. Leading up to now, AI has been around for a couple of years already, but Gen AI is what has completely changed our lives today, right? I mean, I use Gen AI on a daily basis in my job, and every job role, every job function is impacted and can utilize it today. So that's been an amazing sort of journey where there's been so many pockets of tech revolutions that I have seen in the last 17 years itself, and there's more to come, I'm sure. But it impacts talent, but at the same time, if you evolve with it, it becomes a facilitator.
Yeah, so Niharika, thank you. And I'm really impressed that we can even remember so many. This, you know. And I'm curious, how did what did it mean to you at that point in time, right? So when you say digital financial crisis,
Mhm.
and that's when banking IT, was it banking
Yes.
generally? Yeah, got hit. But before that, is it right to say that you were also benefiting from the booming of, banking software growth?
Yes, definitely. And Singapore was at that point before financial crisis, when Singapore was a hub for banking tech, sort of, I wouldn't say back office, but more of tech operations here. So a lot of big banks, investment banks were setting up IT teams across the board. So we had Barclays, we had Credit Suisse, UBS, SocGen, like all the banks, and Citibank even. So they were hiring lots of developers and coming in from rest of the region. It was seen as a low cost location at that time from a banking industry point of view. So we were growing massively. There was lots of hiring that was happening across the industry, and all of the the recruitment business was booming. However, it was still a fewer number of players at that time in the industry. And I was in the staffing business at that time, which was basically hiring for contractors for these big banks in their tech teams, and then looking after these people as well. And it was still a woman. To be honest, when the global financial crisis happened, for me personally, on my desk, it didn't impact me that much. It did impact for a short while, but then once the hiring started to happen, fortunately for me, but unfortunately for a lot of people, there was a lot of staffing requirements. There were more contract hiring than permanent, and that really was an opportune time for me to sort of like really push it hard and sort of build my desk, build my presence, and build my sort of staffing business. So in a way, it worked out quite well for the company, because we had an established business and it was just really about growing it, and we didn't have to lay off that many people as an organization. While it was an adversity, but they were opportunities to for many people who could seek jobs even on a contract basis at the time.
Yeah. And how about the other waves when you talk about, LinkedIn, smartphone, e-com, cloud and blockchain, etc.?
Yeah.
What they mean to you personally?
So for personally, for me, it was definitely like, I never saw it as a threat, to be honest. I mean, there were people and narratives that, recruiters, employers will not need recruiters anymore. They can reach out to employees on their own, but there is a method to everything, right? So I saw it as an opportunity. I saw it as a tool. Social media as such it made our lives easier to reach out to people, right? Instead of having huge dependency on a database of candidates, which is obviously all constantly needed to be updated. We used to have these candidate reviews, I remember, where we used to keep check, like, who are the active candidates, passive candidates. But that the whole way of working completely changed, and it gave us a very live tool where I can know who is the person who's looking for a job now, who's most relevant for my sort of search, and having access to more people who may or may not be even actively actively looking because I can now reach the hidden talent pool as well. And I moved out of staffing into retail search right after my days at Cover Quarters. And that was really a beneficial tool because I was doing regional retail searches and I could reach out to people anywhere in the world using LinkedIn. So it became a very, very strong tool. And as we all know today, it is the biggest, the largest sort of dependency is on LinkedIn for anybody who's hiring, be it an employer or a headhunter.
Yeah.
Amazing how it has evolved as a tool for everyone.
Yeah, and I still remember like how back then we were all like taking pride in our biggest database, right? Every firm was just competing like we have bigger database. But like, in the end, everything converged into that one giant database and connected world.
True, true.
Yeah.
But still the network matters, right? I mean, while you can access a lot of talent, but your brand and your ability to build your brand is what LinkedIn gave us. To build your brand as a professional, to build your brand as a recruiter, and that's such a big sort of impact that LinkedIn can have on any professional today, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. So how about the other ones like smartphone, etc.?
I think with smartphones, of course, it impacted all of our lives, really, right? We could access a lot of technology, a lot of amenities, a lot of services that earlier we had to make a long, an effort to like, okay, when I'm in front of the laptop, I will do it. But then we had more sort of access to technologies. But from a tech industry point of view, it gave a lot of sort of innovation and employment opportunities. New kind of jobs started to come out, right? So iPhone developers, Android developers, there's a whole new stream of skills that started to come out with the smartphone developers. There are economies that move straight from nothing. Like they were, for example, Indonesia is a very famous example of an economy that moved from desktop or straight to iPhones or straight to smartphones. They completely missed the web life, and they were big on Android and smartphones very quickly. So yeah, I mean, it kind of made the hiring and the interaction with talents also very interesting, where there was so much innovation happening on the app front. There were all kinds of apps that were coming up, and the technology companies being created out of that. Your carousels of the world, your grabs of the world. And that's where it all started. So it has been a revolution, and makes our day-to-day lives completely easier, definitely, and because of that. And then I think cloud as a technology um, has again been completely mind-blowing in terms of dependency of every organization on having the need to have huge data centers as you grow bigger and bigger. So eliminating all of that investment, and then working with the likes of your AWSs and Azures and GCEs of the world, say impacted a lot of cost savings. Personally, it probably didn't impact our day-to-day lives more than that. It made the ability of founders to start building their B2B business SaaS apps very quickly. So the services that these cloud businesses, and that obviously eventually impacts our lives because we have access to these cool services which are cloud native. So earlier it was app development, but it was on premise. Now it's cloud native products. So again, every revolution has impacted our day-to-day lives. We just don't know it actually.
Yeah, I like how you're saying that, it is kind of slipping into our day-to-day life anyway.
Yeah.
And in your professional world, when you work with talent pools, right, day in, day out back then, it feels like that was mainly a booming kind of momentum that it was always growing, growing, growing. And so that you have more opportunities most of the time.
Yes, definitely. I mean, new skills coming up every couple of months with these evolutions and innovations. And sometimes, like I remember when I was working on some blockchain projects, it was a very new tech, and my one of our clients wanted to hire a team of blockchain developers. Literally, everybody in the market had just 6 months of experience. in blockchain. So it wasn't like, looking for an experienced blockchain developer. It was about who has done what. They're doing side projects with some things with the mainstream job, and just picking up people from that on potential and what they have been able to do and learn in a short time. Literally, that was the kind of hiring I did at that time when the tech was so new that there wasn't even anyone in the market with even 1 year of blockchain experience.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, right? What decides on who gets paid when there is, experience was just really minimal.
It is really the ability to grasp and learn very quickly and be able to produce some results, not results in terms of a commercial result, but be able to produce products, to be able to conceptualize and create even an MVP was what we were looking for. Because at that time, there weren't any successful, I mean, there were a few successful commercialized blockchain products. There were lots of ideas floating around, but not everybody who's in that product would want to join another initiative because they're already super excited about what they're doing. So it was really the ability to see what they have learned in that short time, and even if you're working on 6 months on a side project. I mean, I played somebody who was a full-time, employee at a large organization, and because of their technologies, they were working on the side project because they were so interested in this technology, and that's the person I kind of ended up placing with this blockchain startup because they were so involved. They had really created a product that was viable through their experiment, their innovation, and their sort of investment in learning the technology. So that's something really important whenever there is a new wave coming. Are you right wave? Are you at the bottom of the wave getting scared and looking at it as a monster, or are you on top of the wave really riding it and making your best effort to surface when the when the wave settles down?
Yeah, I really like what you said about, investing in learning first. So I also have clients who sometimes they say, my job doesn't allow me to learn that new thing. Well, then you can create opportunity to, like what you said about side projects and or so-called created a kind of a portfolio career. So being able to work on multiple projects and that really help you to invest in learning as well. Yeah.
Definitely, that's such a big thing whenever you are in the midst of these sort of technology revolutions, to always start looking at what you can do or on the side. And most of the times, they are not conflicting interests. To be honest, you're pursuing a learning journey, and you can always make way for it.
Yeah. So I remember that in the later part of your career, you were already moving into FinTech industry, right? Which year was that?
So I have been, of course, working in the tech world, a tech search world, since 2007. In the middle of my journey, I did out of the tech industry because I wanted to learn business development in other industries. And in tech banking, there was not much of pure BD. It was more relationship oriented, and I really wanted to learn the art of developing a businesses from scratch, new connections. So I went out of tech, and then 2018 I came back into tech, in startup search, executive search, and that's where around 2021 I moved into one of the startups as an HR business partner. It was a brilliant opportunity. There was a customer of mine, client of mine, who I was working with, and there was an opportunity to join them as a business partner. Talent acquisition was still a big part of it, but there were other sort of elements as a HRBP role where I had to work with as part of the regional leadership team. We were Series C and growing Series B at that time and raising Series C, and the whole rush of the fintech industry was full on, and it was 2021 was the year of growth across the world. Now, when we look back at it, everybody looks back at 2021 as the year of aggressive expansions, and that led to where we went in 2022 in a way. But then I was in the thick of that expansion phase. We were hiring and growing in APAC, and implementing lots of big, amazing people processes because it was. I've even written an article about it on LinkedIn, which is called lessons from a rocket ship journey. So it was really like a rocket ship journey where you were seeing what innovation we are bringing in, but we had to get the right talent on board and execute it for the region. As there was, of course, the European and American businesses, but the APAC business also had to sort of shoot up. So yeah, that's been the journey. And then later on, I joined another organization as a group head of HR within the fintech space as well. So banking as a service platform called Matchmove, and they had an e-commerce enabler business as well. So it was a group role where yeah, again, we were in the region, a local startup, so Singapore in the blood of that startup, and a lot of awareness that I learned about Singapore government's initiatives in supporting the local startup ecosystem, supporting Singapore startups with lots of grants, career conversion programs, upskilling, learning, investment into talent in the fintech space or startup space. So I was really excited to learn what all development is happening in a local startup ecosystem as well.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time, right? I mean, I was in FinTech at that time. I was FinTech in master part, and you went into FinTech in that year as well. So I'm curious, if you compare, that year of FinTech where, being in FinTech and right now you are working with still startup tech of things in the year of AI, right? I mean, literally Gen AI started to make a lot of buzz the end of last year. How is things feeling like for you at this moment?
Well, it really feels like a real game changer for the way we're gonna live as professionals, to be honest. Previous round of innovations have definitely completely changed the way we live on a day-to-day basis in terms of experiences. But this one is gonna impact the way we work. The way people earn their living, and that's a massive one. Earlier revolutions have impacted some bits and pieces of individuals. But Gen AI is really, anybody who's in an office job today will get impacted, I think, positively. I mean, my feeling is it's a very positive impact that it's going to create for all of us. There is, of course, a sentiment of whether it's going to replace jobs. Yes, it will replace some kind of roles, some kind of skills in some of the roles, but if you are again learning the tools, if you are becoming more efficient by using these tools, it will only enhance the kind of work that you can do and your productivity. So for sure, it is that kind of, it is no longer an ambiguity around it. It is for sure changing our lives. We know for it. We know that it's so many tools have come up. It's about you creating a plan on how you're going to ride this wave, learning what you can, improvising your day-to-day job, learning these tools, and then becoming an expert in these tools is what it will take. Um, yeah, so I mean, it's very interesting, right? I mean, I just keep listening to Sam Altman's podcasts, and what everybody is talking about AI as a threat or as an evolution. But yeah, it is something that is shaking a lot of known inhibitions about professional lives, and we're definitely sitting at the starting point of what's going to look like completely different professional world for us 10 years from now.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that you take anything, a bit threatening as really positive. That like I saw that for Asia financial crisis that then LinkedIn, you were always looking for opportunities, even in real threats perceived by other people. And I'm curious when it comes to jobs. I know you are no longer like kind of focusing on recruitment, but you are giving advisory to businesses as HR advisor here. But I suppose you are still very in touch in understanding the market. Do you see changes already happening? Like some people are already at on the verge of jobs being replaced. And yeah, what's your take on that?
Over the years, definitely there have been jobs that have been replaced. But I'm seeing a lot of new skills coming up. in the world of AI. But I would say at this stage, we're at that stage where you can hear the layoffs are happening. You do hear that some of the divisions of big techs that are working on AI products, are the ones that are getting more focus. Some of the products that haven't been so successful, people are getting laid off from those sort of divisions, right? So that's from the big tech world we are seeing. But in the innovation space of AI, there is completely new kind of skill sets that are being in demand, and then it is just a starting point of what we hear, like prompt engineering is something that we've started to hear. We've started to hear skills like human machine interaction designers, machine managers, AI auditors, AI engineers, and so there's a host of new skills coming up in that space, where the AI startups and AI techs that are coming in are looking for these kind of people. In terms of replacement, I would say, yeah, definitely there are lots of jobs that got replaced out over the years. I would say more in the past decade, with cloud coming in, DBAs, system admins, sort of kind of became a past. Desktop support, I don't think like there is really that those kind of skills are being hired for. There were lots of legacy languages that have phased out, and then new programming languages have come up. Um, there used to be a job called webmasters that doesn't exist any longer, as well. But I'd say it's more the skills within the job roles that will dissolve, and those specific job functions then eventually would have to combine with other job functions to make one single job role, right? So that's where we have to see how it evolves. For example, eventually you'll see, um, uh, even software engineering as a skill is at threat right now, because AI can develop code really, really well. So if you are a software engineer today, um, 4 5 years down the line, there will be AI that can develop that code. But where you need to evolve is, do you know how that tool is working, how that tool is developing the code, and do you have the ability to orchestrate and the work of that code as well? So there was a all in post podcast that I was listening to, where the future is, where there are 4 or 5 people running between 5 to 10 people who can run a big company, $1 million company, as well, because they will just need AI tools to do a lot of work, but they need to be very good at orchestrating. So orchestration will become a very important part. And if you don't know how the code works, you cannot orchestrate. So you will have to elevate your learning, and you will have to elevate your understanding of how these tools work, and that's where you will stay relevant. So definitely, like, it's a very open conversation around software engineers demand in the market 4 5 years from now, how it's gonna sort of evolve as well. So it's as innovative as a software engineer. The job can be at sort of, I wouldn't say a threat, but they need to evolve very quickly, with time, with AI coming in. And similarly, any job that is around analysis, number crunching, AI can do very well. But as long as you continue to invest your understanding of how this machine works or how the tool works, you will always stay relevant.
Yeah, I think that one question on the back of my mind is about, if in the future we still need people to work with AI, but that's going to be in a smaller number compared to right now who actually do the tasks, right? And where will all those people go?
They will, I mean, there will be new jobs for sure. Like I said, there will be more companies coming up, more products that will start sort of forming. There'll be companies who make this AI as a technology. So you need to be in that company making AI work, right? So if you are not an operator, you can be the producer. So there is always chains, places along the chain of evolution, where you can find your place. But if you keep your head down and go into a cave and just be scared, you will not find anything. So you
Yeah.
your eyes and ears and open and figure out your path and find your place, you will find it. There will be a lot more exciting and work out there as compared to the day-to-day million jobs, and which will only make us evolve as a race. To be honest, make us more efficient and more productive in what we do, and be able to do tasks which were taking forever before. And now we can do smartly, very quickly.
Yeah, I love this, both this optimism that you believe in the opportunities that will be created. It's not only, jobs that will be taken away. And on the other hand, I'm sharing the belief in systems will actually also evolve. The way that the whole value chain, how things and products are being produced in the future.
Yes, definitely. It is the way to go. I mean, there is no other. If you think of doom and gloom scenario, you can think of many things. But it's important to keep an eye on the threats. I'm not. I'm over optimistic sometimes, but I've learned to always keep an eye, a side view on the threats as well. But to be honest, I always believe there is more opportunities than threat that technology has created. So you just need to know what the tech is doing. Unless and until you don't know what the tech is doing, you will not know what's the threat, what's the opportunity. So always be in the know, always be ready to invest in learning, and always be, out there figuring out who's doing what and what's really causing the buzz.
Yeah. So when you use the word learning, can you share with me what is your learning system like?
um See, for me, it's I have always done jobs which I have never done before. More sports, and I've consciously done that. Like my first job ever was I was a business development consultant with Oracle, literally cold calling in the US market every day, 60 calls a day. And well, life brought me to Singapore, and I fell into recruitment as my first job. I was in the staffing business, banking tech. We've spoken about it. I left it at the peak of what I was doing, and I wanted to do something completely different. I was fortunate enough because of my success at in my first recruitment role here. I got an opportunity to go completely 180-degree from staffing into retained search, and that was something I'd never done before. From there, I was, went into, I wanted to learn business development in a industry setting. So I left that, and I had something I'd never done before again, business developing in oil and gas, chemicals, pharmaceutical, traveling all over Singapore, Jurong Island, everywhere to find customers. And I purposely did that. I had plenty opportunities to start going back to banking tech and make lots of money, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to learn this. It was a very, very uncomfortable time for me, but I wanted to do that. So I've been a very conscious, knowledge seeker always, but definitely there needs to be a system around it, right? So I mean, I've always, found people to sort of hang on to and make my mentors from whom I can learn. So in every job that I've been, I found people that I want to learn and soak everything in from their experience. I have spoken to the market. I put myself out there and spoken to individuals that in the industry, right? So if I'm hiring for a particular job function, then I'll talk to a lot of people and learn from them. Curiosity is something that has always been, and I think one of the biggest things is being self-aware. What are your strengths? What are the things that you don't know, and being humble enough to accept that you need to learn. At every point in your life, you need to be ready to learn and you never know it all. So that self-awareness has helped me to sort of having that feedback mindset where I would actively seek learning and feedback as to how am I doing. And some of the organizations I have been in have taught me a structured feedback mechanism as well. And that's kind of really impacted me where, I profess it, I evangelize it. Taking feedback, self-awareness is one of the big mechanisms of learning and growing uh, as well. So yeah, I mean, and then of course investing in reading courses, taking I mean, I many times I may not have taken formal education in some of these areas, but I have attended a lot of free courses, webinars. Whenever I'm in a new industry, read a lot of industry journals and figure out what's happening. I believe in as a whatever role I have been in, I am here to impact businesses. I'm working with stakeholders who are managing big businesses. So I need to come across that I know what they're doing. I know their business. I'm here to solve problems for them. And that's where, investment in learning the business is something that I have definitely, like, that's been one part of my learning mechanism as well. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I hope I've covered what you were asking, but yeah, that's some of the things that have kept me going in different roles that I have been in and taken on without any previous experiences, including my move into the HRVP world as well.
Yeah, so that's a really comprehensive one. So for usually in the personality test, right, here you have people who learn through more experiencing, and some people learn through more of the theory or intellectualizing. And you actually cover both ends. And you also have, you learn from people and you learn from sort of introspection as well when you talk about self-awareness. So I think that really is covering a lot of those key pieces of learning. And I'm wondering when speaking from your HR advisor role, how do you help organizations to really, to develop a learning culture, given that adopting new technology is an important piece for every organization today as well?
Yes, I think that's one of the big ones today when it comes to attracting and retaining talent, because talent today has so many options to choose from, and the average tenure in the tech world today is really around 2 years plus. Most of the skill sets that we see, it is, and the space that I work in, which is startups. Some of them are early stage, some of them are late stage. Um, the main aim of the startups in the early stages is to just survive and get that first round of funding. And then once you have the first round of funding, it's about proving your product market fit. And once you have that, it's about reaching profitability and then scaling up based on what vision you have set from the VCs, what vision has come through from the VC who were investing or investors who were investing. So unfortunately, the focus on talent development is very little because the leadership is always in a rush to grow, to sort of prove their sort of business. But I strongly believe, and that's the philosophy we at Olofsson and Company has started with, that there are three paths to make a startup successful. One is of course the intellectual property, the idea that they came up with. And then there is the capital that they need to make the idea work. And then there is the base of it is the talent. So if you don't get that piece right, you're not gonna make it. It's very, very clear. And one of the things that retain talents, there was a recent survey I was reading about, and then there are of course three things. One is the supervisor relationship. The second was the innovation that they're working on, and the third was learning opportunities. Because a lot of times, the companies, and especially the mid to late stage startup, they don't have a very structured learning and development department. Talent joins them because they are working on an innovative stuff, and they will naturally learn a lot. but sometimes that gets diluted when there is chaos. Sometimes that gets diluted when you don't get a one-on-one time with the manager and soak in whatever they know from them, right? Because they are just too busy doing their daily job. So there isn't any structure around it. And a lot of times talent starts feeling lost. And that's why you hear high attrition rates in startups. So our job, or what I'm doing now, is really to kind of make these leaders realize that it doesn't have to be that way. If you put a little bit effort of looking at your talent and creating these learning opportunities, invest in learning, um, it really it has one of the largest impacts on retention of the talent, and that obviously has a huge impact on your organization's profitability, or reaching your sort of growth goals, product launch goals, because the talent that has all the knowledge of what you're doing doesn't leave you. There is the cost of rehiring is over 30% and 50-60% in many cases, right? So if you as an organization invest in learning opportunities, invest in having some of the practices that you don't have to wait to become a scale up to have that, because if you have them in place at the right time, you can have a very smooth scale up journey without having to see skyrocketing attrition rates. I think that's where they're coming in from.
Mm. I think attrition rate is definitely one parameter. And on the other hand, I wonder if today is true. A lot of companies start to think that, okay, I can replace people with AI. I, so I don't really have to develop these people if they really want to go. And on the other hand, there is also a bit of a sentiment right now. A lot of people have been laid off from, the gig employers, that there are a lot of sort of an oversupply of talents right now in the market. And employers may become a bit more reluctant to even invest in developing people. But I don't know. That's just a bit of a sentiment I pick up with my clients.
Yes, there is reluctance definitely in any kind of investment, if you see in the market today, because one is that the purses of these companies have been tightened due to the whole tech crunch, the tech winter, the funding crunch that is happening. Definitely, there is a big impact on any kind of spend capacity, be it buying new technology, be it hiring, be it investing in people. So we are seeing that for sure. But it is also, on the flip side, the best time to invest in the team that you have right now. And probably you have done your layoffs, but you do have a team that you want to keep. You have not laid them off because they are important to you as a business. They can't be replaced by as of now, right? Not yet. Um, so but this team that is with you right now, they do feel threatened. And how do you want to assure them that you are needed to work, not just by saying that I need you, you can't leave, give them retention bonus or give them counter offers if they resign. Those are not the times to sort of react when the talent is already leaving. You have to assure them that they are there for good and there is a reason for them to stay, and that reason has to be development, professional development, learning development, some skills that they are getting, and they are being recognized for what they're doing, right? So there's two parts to it. There is definitely the investment in development and learning is the key, but the recognition piece is also quite important, because in the fast moving tech world, sometimes some of the companies I've seen, the talent puts in hours and hours of effort, burns sweat, blood, because they're in a startup, and then eventually the idea doesn't take off, or the needle isn't moving because of whatever XYZ reasons, and then they hear is you didn't get it in, the numbers are not going, it's not working. But then the recognition to the effort that's been made is completely, sometimes diluted. So that kind of creates a bit of a toxic environment as well for some of the companies that I've seen. But the recognition piece of effort, of course, there is an outcome. Outcome is very important. But how do you keep motivating people towards that outcome? It's through recognition and an acknowledgement of the effort that they're putting in. So there's two very important pieces of working with talent that you've retained. Yes, with people who are out there, unfortunately, I would say that learning is even more important for them. There is probably not an organization to invest in them, but they have to find investment to learn and grow for themselves to find their next opportunity. So I think it's a big one for us. Never to stop learning, in life, and keep investing in learning not just the technical skills. I would say the professional, the human skills, because that would set us apart, right? Well, from an AI, and those are the skills that will help us to survive. With the empathy which the AI cannot have, the strategic skills are very, very important, which is the brain, which is to be able to see, what is this tool doing, what is that tool doing, how can I evolve my business using these tools, or how will AI help me. So those are the strategic skills that AI cannot replace. It can give you advice based on churning out, lots of data, but then whether that advice makes sense in real world or not is something that you have to think through your brain, which is the power that human has. And yeah, so there is constant learning for all of us, whether you're in a job or not, that we need to keep at.
And on that note, what kind of talents you think are going to be most needed in the future? So that is a bit of a long range question. And because I also want to leverage on your unique position that you are in the talent field today, right? So what are some of, so let's say when we are looking from this point where we stand to the far future and say, okay, in that far future, certain kind of talents will really be at a, more advantageous position. But and what is already happening at where you stand today? What are the trends you're noticing?
See what the trends that I think as of today, we're seeing a lot of tools coming in, and everybody is very curious about these AI tools. They are already seeing the efficiencies it is bringing to their jobs. In every job that we are in today, be it in HR, engineers, software engineers, finance as a function, sales as a function. So every function has a tool that they can utilize, like design, for example. Even the creative fields are utilizing AI tools. And it is a time to soak it all in and figure out your strategy, how you're gonna sort of start off in that journey, right? And where you're gonna find yourself, whether become redundant because of these tools or become a master of these tools. And that really sets the stage for what future is gonna look like. Because like I said, the future, far future, where I see is that there is one concept where a large part of the population will not need to work. They will just be part of this economy where there is a minimum wage that they are provided with by the governments, and they just need to really do basic things. And then there will be a part of a world that will be the orchestrators of AI, right? And that's where that's where it will evolve to, like, you are an orchestrator of your function. You might be a single person in HR department doing everything using AI tools. You might be a single person in the finance department that everything that can happen using different AI tools. But you need to be a master and to be an orchestrator of all these tools. So it is that, but there might be more and more companies for people to be able to do that. So you need to sort of figure your path out, where if you want to be in that pool of people who are the orchestrators, who are running the world through these companies, or you are going to be the minimum wage earner who doesn't really have to do a work, and they can just live a life without having. I'm talking about really far future. That's one of the philosophies that's out there as well. um but then like I said, there will be more number of companies out there, because you don't need to hire hundreds and thousands and thousands of people to make your idea sort of materialize. You can invest in technology, so there will be more and more ideas floating around, and more opportunities and more companies for people to join. So there will be a balance out somewhere, and there will be some jobs which will never ever be sort of replaced, definitely. But yeah, if you think about it, it is something super interesting to sort of keep riding on this.
Yeah, I definitely see, that empowerment for small business owners. And for example, for myself, I can already do a lot of things without a team behind me, right? I feel quite empowered with all these AI tools. And you can even, make an app just within a few hours, right? You can make an app. You can create I can upload a YouTube video within really just the time that it takes to compress the whole video. Really, the editing is really fast. And if I can backtrack a little, are there, talent acquisition trends or, or through, the clients that you have? And they already hiring people based on their AI skills to some extent, or their, AI seminars. Because I've heard stories such as they hire something, they were interviewing someone, and that person just copy and paste something from ChatGPT, and that person was not selected. So honestly, that's the attitude issue, right? But here I have the wonder, right? Hear anything about that is already happening, about how steady, how quick are you to adapt?
Um, See, stories like that have always existed in my world, where talent is super, I would say, like smart or street smart to kind of, use some of these tools to their advantage, but ethically not right. Yeah, it has been happening forever. Like I remember, uh, back in the days where there used to be remote hiring as in you would hire people and bring them to Singapore in the tech world. They were candidates who would, over a phone interview, make their friend interview for the role, pretending to be them and get the job and then land up in the job in Singapore and then have absolutely no idea about what to do because they had a friend interview over the phone. There were no video interviews in those days. So there has been like, phone technology, audio technology was misused, right? And a lot at that time when they were no sort of audio video interviews. And then definitely like AI, one of the big things Sam Altman says is that there is a huge potential for AI to be misused, and that one of his life missions is to make sure that doesn't happen, and it is being used for good and for more efficiencies. Definitely, we are seeing roles where the clients are looking for AI skills. We are working with a lot of AI startups already who are expanding and looking for, some of them are looking for technical, but a lot of commercial roles as well. So definitely we are in the thick of it, and it's super exciting to see they're at a starting journey. But AI ML has been a skill that's been around. It's the Gen AI that has sort of completely, changed the way our world is right now, the professional world is right now. Now,
Present.
I haven't heard any recent stories of malpractices.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think what is interesting here is you highlighted on, the unethical use of technology. And that reminds me of what I read, one of the AI books by what he was saying is, you know, companies don't really they want employees to use AI, but then employees they might already be using AI, but then they don't want to share with their employers for fear that, one of them they might be regulated, or they might be if the employer notices that 80% of that job can be done by the AI, then that person might lose his job, right? So there's a bit of interesting thing that companies want to push this forward and say everybody adopt AI. At the same time, employee might be secretly doing they're already using, but then they don't own up to that. So that's what I say. And the other thing I'm curious about is, besides hiring those AI sort of large language model experts, when we look to hire people who are commercial in the commercial roles, how can companies even judge or assess these people's aptitude in embracing the new technology?
yeah, it is. Something that definitely comes from, you have to see the trajectory and their successes in what they have done before. So the ability to pick up new tech and skills. So the agility of the mind is something that is a very key skill that one needs to have in today's world, or even moving forward, right? You need to be able to quickly connect the dots and pick up that new tech skill, right? I'm seeing so some of the talent that is in commercial roles with these AI companies have previously, worked in new tech, right? So they have moved from, an old sort of a software on-premise kind of technology into selling cloud-based technology, into going into selling a machine learning or data AI products, not the Gen AI, but the previous version of AI, and that they have eventually. So that you can see they have evolved from one product to another. They have upped their game in terms of the kind of technology that they can sell. They haven't continued to sell just the same kind of old tech through their career, and that's the kind of talent that gets picked up for a new age sort of product which has never been, because that kind of proves your ability to have that conversation with the customer about and be able to explain and evangelize the concept and the product that you're selling. So it is very important. It's the commercial roles and the commercial capabilities is not just about it is a lot about obviously perseverance and keeping yourself building your network, but in the tech world, it is about being able to articulate what the product does, being able to connect with the user and understand what how to solve their pain points, have those conversations which are around solving problems and not just pushing and repeating what you've learned in your sales trainings, right? So you will see a pattern in these individuals' careers where they have moved from old to new to newer to newest technology as part of their growth, and those are the people who will get picked up, or who do get picked up to take on these roles and sell in the AI sort of world. I mean, one of the recent examples has been with this AI company that have worked with. This person had already worked with some of the large techs, but within the large techs, they were touching on some of the new product developments. And then they had a stint with a startup, which didn't work out because startups fold sometimes as well. And then they went back to a big tech, selling something which was kind of a new age product, but still not as exciting as an AI product. And they decided to take on this, AI company, startup, still startup, but they were ready for it. They wanted it, and they have jumped on and taken it on. So there has been a clear pattern where they're hungry to work in the world of innovation and not settle down with a big tech.
Yeah, and that energy, right? That's almost like a nose that is beating the face that we go through.
That's the opportunity and innovation and follow it.
Yeah, yeah. So we have just 2 minutes to the hour, and we have a small audience. Maybe let me just try to promote them to panelists and see whether else could join us for a quick chat. And then can accept if you are interested in giving us your voice. Okay, not getting a response yet. Okay, we will respect that. And I think we are almost at the time of closing. And I think what I've taken away today from you, first of all, it's about being able to see 𝐸𝐭 and experiencing whatever change that is coming. And secondly, is always learning. And I think really having that 360-degree kind of learning, that you're covering every aspect of learning. And then lastly, following that agility, that knows that is so sensitive to the entire environment. And I think that's what I'm seeing also, that AI is good at helping us to deal with tasks, but our ultimate job is to connect the dots. And I think what you described is really how an individual can kind of almost like swim in this very messy, ambiguous, but exciting world. and go around and move around with that energy and direct oneself to start to connect dots and become still always relevant in long term as well.
Definitely, very well summarized. It is about just swimming hard, kicking hard, and looking for opportunities, staying relevant, learning forever in your life, because it will never stop. The innovation will not stop. You cannot wish it. You have to be part of it. You cannot wish away. You have to be part of it.
Yeah, so we don't resist that, but we become part of it, and we kind of also become the force to propel it forward. Like, what is that range? Like riding the waves.
Yes, yes, definitely. I mean, and then when you become part of that force that propels it forward, you have the front seat to the opportunities, to be honest, and you will never feel threatened by it. So yeah, that's how the world is gonna be.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure talking with you, Niharika.
It is
And
for having me.
thank you. So next Tuesday, I will be here again talking with the Chief Data Officer of Bear Business. I'll stop recording here.